So today's video is going to be about this. This is the Joule. It's a portable electric kettle that's specifically made for campers, overlanders. And so I just wanted to share a quick video kind of going over it, talk about what my experience has been with it, because I have been able to use it for the last couple months, and specifically on the last camping trip. This is what I made my coffee out of. And so I think it's a neat little gadget. Look, this is not something that you absolutely need, but if you're somebody who's looking to use kind of like renewable energy, or maybe you want to save some money on propane and stuff, this is a really, really great gadget for you. And so we're going to dive into that right now. The first thing I want to do is kind of just go over the build, how it's set up. So let's just start at the top. You got this little lid here that pops off. And on the top you've got a little drink hole and a strainer. So yes, we'll kind of get to the cooking aspects of it later. This is a good little string because when you're boiling water and stuff, it gets nice and hot. It's easy to just kind of grab this little guy and take it off. Inside, I actually store my little power cable. So this is the little power cable that it comes with. It's kind of like one of those computer monitor type cables. Also very similar to what a lot of power stations run with. So power cable. And then inside, this is 304 stainless steel. On the outside, you've got this like heat-proof type of QZ material, so heat-proof material. So that way, as the inside, the steel's getting really hot, you've got something that you can kind of safely put your hands on, and then there's this nice handle right here. I still would probably try to avoid really touching this while the water's boiling, and maybe sticking to the handle. On the bottom, you've got your power button right here, and then you've got your 3 settings. So right now it's set to pop for like popcorn. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you've got eat, and then you've got drink, so like making your coffee. And in the back, you've got a little outlet, and that is where your power cord goes. Now, what I've used this for so far is specifically coffee. I'm somebody, and my use case for it is I like to get up early before my kids, before my wife, and when you have like a propane stove and pots and pans and tea kettle and stuff, 6 o'clock in the morning, everyone's trying to sleep, and you're like dying to get your coffee, and things are kind of clanking around. I found this to be really quiet and a really, really great use case. And so I kind of want to just show you guys exactly how this works. Starting off by, we'll just boil a cup of water. I'm not going to make a cup of coffee for you guys because that second part is obvious. I use an AeroPress. For those of you guys who watched my last camping video, I boil some water in this. Once the water's boiled, I pour it into AeroPress and have a nice pour over coffee in the morning. Fantastic setup for me. This is my Bluetti EB3A. This is the power station that I've been using for a lot of things, but this is definitely going to have a really good use case for something like this. Now, we'll probably talk a little bit more about this as we go along, like I said. But the Bluetti EB3A is a very entry-level power station, but it does output up to 600 watts. And you need 500 watts to run this little kettle. Now, something that makes this little kettle really special is how low of a wattage it runs at. Now, you can find all sorts of different kettles online on Amazon and whatnot, and some of them are very fancy, but most of them run at like 1200 watts plus. I was able, before I actually found this one, before these guys actually reached out to me, there was a couple that I was looking at because I had this little power station and I wanted to do something like this. But they were like running at like 300 watts and they seem really cheapy. Maybe they would set on fire type thing. This is like a very quality type build, and I feel a lot more comfortable with it. In addition to some of those fancier ones like the 1200 watts, 1500 watts, that's a lot of power. This power station can't even put that out. And so it was very hard to find something that's like really specifically made for this use case. It needs to run at a lower wattage output. Additionally, you can just take a look at like the build aspects of this. This is super packable. I can throw the cable in there. I'm really not worried about this thing like getting like banged up in my camping bin. Most of the electric kettles that you're gonna find elsewhere on Amazon, these fancy little things, they've got the little like kettle nozzle piece that goes out. They're just not practical for this use case. This thing's rugged. It's gonna be able to take a beating. It's made of steel and these high quality plastics, and it's got this nice little cushiony cover over it. This thing is built for that rugged type of use case. So we're gonna plug this thing into the Blue Eddy. I'm gonna fill this thing up with water real quick, and I'm gonna show you guys how long it takes to boil water. Real quick, before I boil the water, I'm showing you inside here, there's like fill lines. The max fill is 18 ounces on this thing. And I'll just read them to you. You've got 4 ounce, 8 ounce, 12 ounce, 16 ounce, and then the max safe fill is going to be the 18 ounce line. If you guys can, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's in there. So we've poured some water in there into the max fill line, just because, I mean, ideally, maybe if you're making coffee for 2, I just feel like this is probably the setting most people are going to do it at. So put the lid on there. Put the little lever over to drink. I'm gonna plug this guy in to the back of the kettle. I'm gonna turn my little EB3A power station on. Turning it on to AC power. Boom. So we got it plugged into the Blue Eddy EB3A. I got my little stopwatch out, and we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. So as you can kind of see here, we started with the Blue Eddy at 98%. Now for this is a 268 watt hour power station. So like I said, it's pretty entry level, but it's great for stuff like this. There is another video on this as well as that you can check out. And I do have a discount code for this power station if anybody's interested in buying that. But you will definitely need, if you're going to use this in a camping environment, you're either going to need an inverter on your truck or a power station. This is going to take a chunk out of this battery, kind of like I said. Started at 98%, and as you can kind of see, running at 490 watts, we're already down to 93%. You can really hear the fan kicking on the Blue Eddy. So this thing is handling it no problem, but it definitely does make this little power station work. Still pumping out 490 watts. 75%. All right, I think we got it. All right, we got a true boil right now at 6 minutes. There it is, if you guys can see it. So they advertise boiling water in under 5 minutes. We just tracked it at 6. Now there's another really cool use case that I think my kids are really gonna get a kick out of. You can cook popcorn with this thing. Now we didn't quite get to it on the last trip just because the kids were exhausted the one night that we stayed up for our campfire, and I put them to bed. And so we never really got to do our popcorn around the campfire. But last night I tested it out because I just wanted to see how it worked, and this is what that looked like. Okay, so I'm gonna try making some popcorn with this thing. I'm gonna use the Blue Eddy EB3A because ideally on a camping trip, this is how I would do it. And I wanna see exactly how much power it's gonna use. So let's do this thing. So they say to take the lid and essentially to fill up this lid so that you don't overflow this as it begins to pop. Pour it in. Hopefully I don't pour it out too quick here. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit of butter oil in there. I don't know how much is too much. I guess we'll find out. That's probably good. Dump that in there. Whoops. I probably could have been a little bit more careful with that. Alright, I'm gonna put that lid back on. And then the Blue Eddy is on. It's at 100%. And let's turn this guy on. And here we go. So I'm just noticing it's pulling around in between 160 to 175, 176 watts, which is much less than when you're boiling water. When you're boiling water, this thing will run at like 480, so just under 500 watts for boiling water. They say to kind of stir it. I'm just going to kind of shake stuff around, see if I can get the kernels on the bottom to I think things just stopped popping, but it hasn't gone off yet. So I'm not sure exactly what triggers that, but I would say it's, well, there's one more, but I'd say it's done. So I think I did stop it a bit too early because there's lots of kernels that didn't get popped. As I was pouring it in, I could kind of see them. Blue Eddy got down to 91%, so about 10% usage of the Blue Eddy EB3A, but still pretty cool. I mean, if I had a fully charged EB3A, which I did at night last time, just because I had the solar panel during the day and stuff, if I had a fully charged battery, you could probably do quite a few servings of these. The kids would probably love it. Yeah, looking forward to trying this out at camp. So there's a couple things that I really love about this thing. Number one is my ability, like I said earlier, to make coffee pretty quietly. You guys heard that whole process, and then obviously pouring into like a little plastic AeroPress. Very quiet, very streamlined, not banging pots and pans and starting a propane stove and all that kind of stuff in the morning. I think that's great. In addition to that, this really eliminates my need, my personal need for like a small pot. If I was going to cook up beans or pasta or soup or something like that, some kind of side that needed a small pot, I could just do it in here. And so I don't need to pack a small pot anymore, which is great because I'm always looking for ways to save space in my camping kit. The third thing I really like about this thing is I don't need to buy as much propane. It's gonna save me quite a bit of money in the long run on how much money I'm spending on these propane canisters for the trips that we go on. So I'm somebody who's always on the lookout for new outdoor gear, new camping gear. So something like this really fits the bill for me. I don't think I would put this in the need category for anybody. Probably everybody's got a propane stove, a way to make coffee already. And there are more affordable ways to do that. Now, I would definitely put this in the want category for a lot of you. The world's changing. These power stations are everywhere. And so if you like a setup like this and you're looking to cut down on the amount of propane that you're using, and if that's you, I do have some links in the video description to this product, and I also have some temporary really good discount codes that Stoke Voltaics sent me to get, I think it's like 50% off of this on Amazon for a very short window. And so it depends on when you see this video, but I'll link all that information in the video description. I also have links to the Blue Eddy products as well if you're looking to get set up on a really good solid power station. I hope you guys liked this video. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.